There was a huge mistake made by HR that ended up costing their company $1.7 million. Here's what happened. This company was a mid-sized business that was doing well overall, but they had a big problem with employee retention. People would join the company and, after a few months to a year, they would leave. This was happening in almost every department, but especially in sales. And this was costing the company a lot of money because sales was a commission-based role. So if the salesperson left, they wouldn't have to pay that person a salary, but they would have to pay a commission to someone else who replaced them. To make matters worse, this meant that they were paying double commission for a while until the new salesperson was up to speed. So the company brought in an HR consultant to help them figure out why people were leaving and what they could do to stop it. The consultant spent some time interviewing employees and reviewing data and eventually came up with a list of recommendations. One of the recommendations was to give all employees a raise. Now, normally this wouldn't be a problem, but the company was already struggling to meet their financial targets, so this wasn't really an option. The HR consultant didn't really understand the company's financial position, so they just recommended a blanket raise for all employees without considering the cost. The CEO of the company was desperate to fix the problem, so he went ahead and approved the raise without thinking about how they were going to pay for it. He took out a loan against his house to cover the cost of the raises. Now, I don't know about you, but that doesn't sound like a very wise financial decision. After the raises were implemented, HR came back a few months later with the news that employee retention had improved. Now, at first glance, this looked like a win for HR. They solved the problem and everyone was happy, or so they thought. The CEO was still struggling to make his loan payments, so he asked HR to run the numbers again. When they did, they realized that the raise had actually increased their cost by more than they had anticipated. On top of that, revenue was down because the consultant's recommendations had also suggested cutting advertising, which ended up costing them even more money. But in the end, the company was forced to lay off 15% of their workforce, and the CEO had to sell his house to pay back the loan. Now, I'm not saying that giving raises is a bad idea. In fact, I think it's a great idea if you can afford it. But what I am saying is that HR needs to understand the bigger picture. They need to be able to see how their decisions will impact the company as a whole, not just in a department. I hope this story serves as a cautionary tale for all of us in HR. We have the power to make a real difference in the world, but we also have the power to do a lot of damage. Let us make sure that we always act in the best interest of the company, and that we making decisions that are both ethical and legal. If you liked this story, check out the next video where another company made a similar mistake. And remember, don't take financial advice from a random guy on the internet.